Hi, and welcome to today's session on digital safety tools. The purpose of today's video is to directly talk to parents. As you navigate this new experience where your children are on technology more than they ever have before, today's session is going to answer some of those key questions. What are the resources out there that I can use to help monitor and protect my children as they use various different pieces of technology? So let's get started. I will present to you a few videos that are available on YouTube. At the very end of the presentation, I'll present to you a shortened URL and a QR code so that you have access to those resources. As a parent of 4 children, I remember back when my children were little, and I would go around the house and I would protect them from cupboards and I would protect them from electrical outlets and medicines and things of that nature. And when I look at the digital tools that I'm presenting to you in this presentation, I have that very same mentality that I am providing a gate or a barrier to protect my children, and I want to protect them socially, mentally, and emotionally. I want to provide boundaries for them when they don't know what their boundaries should be so that they navigate the world in a very safe fashion. Let me provide you with this statement before I continue. I know that all resources change over time. Apps will change over time. Technology always changes and evolves. And some companies are bought out by other companies. So I'm giving you the most accurate information that I have as far as today is concerned. I do not guarantee the effectiveness of any product that I am showcasing here. I do not guarantee that it will work as stated. Some of these companies could completely change their products tomorrow, and my information will be outdated at some point. I am not outright promoting or endorsing any company. I have not been compensated to make any of the claims or statements that you're going to hear in this presentation. And lastly, unfortunately, I will not provide technical support for these products. So if 400 parents email me tomorrow, I can't walk you through step by step in order to use these tools effectively. So I'm just basically a street sign directing you towards resources that might be helpful for you. Here's my table of contents. I'm going to talk about Life 360. I'm going to talk about Circle. I'm going to talk about web protection, OurPact, Bark, appless solutions, as well as the kitchen table. So no, I didn't make a typo right there. It's not apples with an extra S. It's actually appless solutions, solutions that don't require an app. So here we are. Let's jump into Life 360. Life 360 is an app that allows you to know where other people in your circle are located. So I have a family of 6. My husband, myself, and our 4 children, and we use this resource. Whenever my children are out of town on an athletic event, I am able to determine approximately what time they're going to return on that school bus because it tells me how far away they are, how fast they're traveling, and about how long it will take for them to arrive at a certain location. I also have access to the battery life for each of their devices. And lastly, I also have an historical overview of where they were throughout the course of that day. I just said the word lastly, but one other thing is I'm able to know approximately what their speed is from point A to point B as well. So for example, on that left-hand side, I can get badge notifications on my phone letting me know that particular individuals arrived at a certain location and the journey took a particular number of minutes and the length of that traveling experience and the speed that they were traveling. A fellow teacher once told me that her son was in a car and she got on Life 360 and was able to notice that her son was traveling at approximately 87 miles per hour. She took a screen capture of that experience and sent it to him as a text message and said, I really think that you should ask your friend to slow down. And so if you're concerned about the speed that your children will travel when they are a passenger in someone else's vehicle, this might be an effective resource for you. When you are at work, if your children are supposed to independently get themselves to school, you can also be notified by these badge notifications that your children have arrived at school if that is something that you have established inside of this resource. This particular video is available to you in a playlist at the very end of this presentation, so you can either scrub all the way over there to find that playlist, or you can just wait until the presentation is finished and I'll give you that QR code as well as a bit.ly in order to find the videos that I'm showcasing in this presentation. This particular resource is called Circle, and you can head to their website by going to meetcircle.com, or you can scan that QR code that you see on your screen right there and it will take you to that specific website. This is a small device that you would plug into the back of your router, and then you would establish users on your home network, and you can determine what level of maturity they can access while they are using Wi-Fi in your home. If you want to block particular resources from specific users in your home, you can click that to say that maybe you don't want someone in your home to have access to Pinterest or Amazon or specific resources. Maybe they use them a little bit too much. Or if you want to set a max time, maybe they have access to Pinterest, but only 15 minutes per day. Maybe they have access to YouTube, but it's only 15 minutes per day. You are the manager of your home and you get to determine how many minutes per resource per user each day. And this data is available to you on your user dashboard. Additionally, if you encounter a badge notification like this, you also have access to notifications that let you know new users that pop up on your home Wi-Fi. For example, if the neighborhood children are using your Wi-Fi in the front yard, you would be notified of that. Not necessarily every single time, just the point at which they join your network. If the neighborhood children enjoy coming to your house because they know they have access to free Wi-Fi, I like knowing that Circle will prevent them from accessing inappropriate content on my Wi-Fi. It's not my obligation or my responsibility to parent children in my neighborhood, but I also like knowing that they won't have access to inappropriate content using my Wi-Fi. And so Circle is a device that I like not only for my own children, but also individuals who come to visit our home. If you're curious how this works, there is a little video available to you. Scrub to the end and you'll have access to that. Prior to purchasing a device like Circle, I highly recommend that you head over to the blog to determine whether or not your router is compatible with Circle. Circle does not work with all routers. So please do your homework before investing in this resource. Retail right now, it runs about $90. They do have the newer version, and you can find out more about that by visiting their website. Your router modem might already have access to parent controls. Prior to spending any money whatsoever, feel free to double check to determine whether or not your modem, router, or internet provider give you access to parental control resources. I probably shouldn't show this resource to you because it's no longer in service, but K9 Web Protection, in my opinion, was a fantastic resource. I am sad that someone came along and bought them out and that their resource is no longer free. I'm not quite sure if they're pointing you to other resources that are similar at their original website, but if you're currently using this and you didn't get the memo that it's not working anymore, let me be the first to tell you that this service is not working anymore. So an alternative to K9 might be clean browsing. I can't give you personal experience on whether or not this resource is amazing or not. I'm going to gift you with the opportunity of doing that research on your own. Your children may be curious about content on the internet, or they may accidentally land on content that you have deemed as inappropriate. If you want to block that content before they ever get there, then clean browsing is one resource to consider. Some of these websites are going to talk about a domain name system known as DNS. If you have no idea what that is, this little tutorial explains it for you. I will give you access to this video in my playlist at the end of my presentation. Currentware is another resource that functions similarly to that last one. The main objective is to monitor or block content that your child may have access to, and then you can head to that resource to find out more about that resource. Your home PC or laptop may have internal security options that you may explore. This is a screen capture of an Apple device, and it shows what those parental controls look like. I have personal experience with OurPact. It is a resource that I personally use to manage my children's devices. I do not want my children sending text messages at 2 o'clock in the morning, and so I shut their apps down on a schedule. I also don't want my children to have access to the App Store. I don't want them to download any resource whenever they want to without any oversight, and so I use this resource to shut down the App Store. When my children were younger, I didn't feel that they had the maturity to navigate the internet on their own, and so I shut down the internet. When they were young, I also shut down their ability to use the camera. I wasn't quite sure that they would use that in a helpful way. So you as a parent also have access to shutting down the camera if you want to. If your children wake up one day and they are not motivated to fold their laundry or do the dishes or any of the other chores that you have blessed them with, you also have the ability to turn their apps on and off as a motivator to get them up off the couch and motivated to get some work done. So this is what it looks like on the inside. You can establish a schedule for each individual person. You also have the ability to go in and turn on and off various restrictions. And then you also have access to every single app on their device. This resource, for me personally, I believe is about $6 a month. I don't know if that's the older price because I've been a customer for quite a long time, or if that's the price for everyone. I'm willing to pay that every single month in order to protect my children and in order to monitor what they have access to, just because overconsumption of screens over the long haul, I predict will not be helpful for them. So this is a tool that I recommend. It's one that I like using. I have reservations about saying this out loud because I want parents to know about it, but I don't want children to know about it. For those sweet blessings that are super smart and they go into Google Classroom or Google Drive or Google Docs, even though you have shut down video content on their devices, Google products will allow them to head over to YouTube and use YouTube, even though you may have blocked that. So this resource is not 100% perfect, and there are some loopholes in there. So even though you do your best as a parent to make sure that you've blocked everything that you want to block, please be careful that there are times where your children can work around that creatively. You'll find this video on that playlist link at the very end of the presentation. Bark is a resource that allows you to micromanage every in and out on your child's device. If you want to see the text messages that they're receiving, the images that they are receiving, if you want a system to scour the internet to find out whether or not your child has a social media account that you don't know about, Bark is a resource that might be helpful for you. This right here, this link, bark.us, as well as the QR code on the left, will take you to their website. This link right here will take you to their blog. It will answer some of the questions that you might have between those two resources. You'll get quite a number of questions answered. If you still have questions beyond that, they do have a YouTube channel. You can either click right there where it says videos, or you can come over here to where it says playlists to determine whether or not Bark is a perfect fit for your family. Now let's hit into appless solutions. One easy solution for the App Store is that your child does not need to know their password. It can be top secret information that only you know about. And since they don't know that password, you can block them from the App Store by preventing them from knowing that password. Another appless solution is that all devices charge in mom and dad's room at night, or maybe you have a drawer or a safe, some specific location that the children don't know about. And by placing those devices in some other location, then your children would not have access to those resources in the middle of the night. Another area that is an appless solution, if your family has Apple devices, you can come over here into settings where it says screen time, as well as the content and privacy restrictions. You can set a pass code that prevents the children from going in and undermining the changes that you have made. And in there, you also have access to some other security tools. If you want to establish a family and monitor usage across multiple devices, if you want to establish content restrictions, if you want to determine what apps are allowed or not allowed, if you want to provide limits, or if you want to establish downtime on those devices, you have the capacity to go in without paying a monthly subscription at all. These resources are available in the settings area. This is where I talked about that PIN just a moment ago. You have the ability to establish a PIN so that your child does not go in and undermine the changes that you have established. And you can turn those resources on and off. Maybe you don't want them to have access to Safari or camera or Siri or FaceTime. You can turn those off. Your child does not have to have access to those resources. If you have some devices that are sitting around your home that are not being used, maybe an old cell phone or an old iPad, you can actually turn those into security cameras around your home. And it doesn't cost you anything for the free version of the Alfred camera app. If you're curious about that, head over to that website that you see right there on the screen, alfred.camera, to learn more about developing an internal security system for your home. This is not a perfect solution for every family, but if you are working full-time and you're mostly in your room 4 to 7 hours per day, and you're not quite sure what the children are doing in the other room, this is a tool that allows you to determine whether or not they're doing the laundry or washing the dishes, if they're working on schoolwork, or if they're searching YouTube. So feel free to consider this if you have some devices that are sitting around your home. The kitchen table is free, and it is a resource that might be a valuable resource for you for those open family discussions. Now, we set a time to change the oil in the car, and we set a time to change the air filter in our home, and we have a date and a time to get our teeth cleaned. So why not schedule time to discuss technology safety issues as a family? And I have a picture of popsicle sticks right there. Maybe you want to write out some themes, some ideas, concepts, or vocabulary words, and then you can cycle back around to those themes on a reoccurring basis. I will not answer any questions right now. You're more than welcome to drop some questions down into that comment region. I can't promise that I'll swing back to answer those questions. So here's that video playlist. Go ahead and use that a smart device if you have one. If you're watching this on your smart device, you can't really use that QR code very well. But if you do have access to a smart device, go ahead and open up that camera or a QR reader. It will recognize that image as a redirection tool, and it will drop you off on this unlisted playlist. Your other option is to head over to bit.ly/Culver Digital Safety. And when you do that, I will have these 4 videos in there. And from time to time, I might add more videos in there that will help you on your journey to protect your children as they navigate digital tools. Here's that beginning statement all over again. I'm not going to read it out loud to you. I'll just pause and let you read it. Here are some web links that give credit for the images that I used. If I were to write an essay, I would have a works cited section showing all the images that I borrowed for that essay. And so I want to make sure that these individuals get credit for the work that they did so that I could use those images in this presentation. Here are the credits for this presentation template. Thank you so much for the designer who made this happen. I found it at Slides Mania. If you're interested in using or accessing free templates, then you can head over to Slides Mania as well, where there are lots of fantastic slide templates to use if you need one. Somehow, I thought all the information I planned to present was going to fit into one presentation, but unfortunately it's way too long. So stay tuned for that next presentation where I cover vocabulary and key concepts. In this journey, where you are helping your child stay safe on screens, there's a lot of vocabulary and a lot of concepts to consider. So in that next presentation, I'm going to introduce you to some of the vocabulary and some of the questions that you might find curious on your journey to help your child. So make sure that you come back and watch that second presentation. Thanks so much for watching and have a great day.